What's going on, guys? UFC 240 Thoughts and Review recap. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's make it short and sweet just because I'm tired, it's late, and I got work tomorrow, unfortunately. So first of all, I really wish, I kind of regret not doing the past two UFC events. I did an analysis on them, but I just never got around to posting it. And I'm so used to like doing all these big event ones. Like last pay-per-view, I really regret doing that one because as far as Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal, insane knee. That was insane. We were going crazy that night. That was probably the best card of the year, no doubt. And then Cejudo and Moraes too. So that was a great fight. So yeah, really the last two events have been pretty big, but I just didn't get around to do them. But I decided I was gonna do this one because my boy Frankie Edgar, one of my favorite fighters ever. Been watching that kid since as long as I can remember when he first came into the UFC. Took the belt from BJ. I think the first Frankie fight I ever watched was him versus Maynard 2 when it was the draw. That's when I kind of looked at him and I was like, okay, like I like this kid. And then I went back and watched the BJ Penn fights and all that. But I've always liked this guy. I always thought he was the underdog type. He could take a hit. He has heart. People call him the Rocky of UFC. So I've been with him ever since like this whole journey. And he's now 37. And I think it's crazy, man, because it's gonna be sad not seeing him fight anymore because I just love seeing him fight. But hey, man, he won a belt, and he was trying to get another one. I really thought like 100%, or not 100% because nothing's guaranteed, but I was 90% sure that he was gonna win another belt in 2016. I thought that was the year. He was on fire those past 2 years. Dominated Cub Watson. Knocking out Chad Mendez in literally the first 2 minutes of the fight. Smashing Uriah Faber, smashing BJ Penn. I just thought that was the year for him, man, and I was like, this is the year for him to win the belt. But obviously, he ended up fighting Aldo and for the interim belt, and he did terrible that fight, just not a good performance. Anyway, so this was really his last chance to win, is the point. And I wasn't as confident as I was, in 2016. Because 2016, I was super confident that he was going to win the title, but he didn't get to do it. But obviously, Frankie Edgar's a legend of the sport, and Max Holloway, love them both. He's a legend, best featherweight of all time, and he showed that tonight, man. But before I get into the main event, let's go ahead and go through. Let's start about the co-main event. Cyborg and Felice Spencer. So obviously that was not a good fight because Cyborg dominated her in every single way, but Felice Spencer, she's tough, man. She took literally everything Cyborg threw at her, and I was like, she's eating all these shots. It was insane. It makes you question, like, if maybe she had a little bit more of a stand-up game, she could possibly be like a threat in that division. But the fact that she literally wasn't utilizing anything else, she was just getting smashed. It was just like, oh, okay, well, like, props for getting hit. But, I think she gained a lot of respect tonight from people. She definitely gained my respect. Cyborg is no one to mess around with. Obviously, she caught her with a good elbow, and she cut her up early. But other than that, she was just getting smashed the whole fight. And that was kind of the end of it. It was domination from Cyborg, 3 rounds. I always forget that Cyborg is not the champ anymore because Amanda Nunes knocked her out, which I was so happy. That was literally like one of the best moments ever. But I always forget, so I'm so used to Cyborg having 5-round fights, but this one was only a 3-round fight. But thank goodness, because like, who knows how long. I wouldn't be surprised if Felice Spencer took all those hits, later in the 2 rounds. There was a point where Cyborg hurt her really bad, and I thought she was going to finish it for a second. I think that was late in the 2nd round, but she didn't end up doing it. But hey, you got to give props to Felice for hanging in there, being a warrior, and anybody that can take a hit from Cyborg like that is tough as nails. So props to her. Hopefully she can work on her stand-up game and get some other top contender. She's so inexperienced too. She's only 7-0. She was 7-0 coming into this fight, so she really doesn't have that much in an MMA resume so far. But obviously fighting Cyborg, it's a big name, so maybe she can draw some more people to be fighting her. As far as fight of the night, I think there was a flyweight bout in the prelims. It was really, really good. I would say it would be between either that fight and the co-main event, so the third fight, you know, Nico Price, that fight was really good. You know, it was like almost a double knockout in that fight. But Nico Price ended up losing. That boy was getting smashed. And let me say something here. So when Nico Price was getting smashed on the ground, it was like he didn't know what he was doing. Like, I've seen Price fight before, but like pretty much every time he got tagged and was on the ground, it's like he didn't know what to do. But I think it was just because he was so exhausted. He was just getting smashed. They ended up stopping the fight. But I love the way he handled it. It was kind of cool. And, you know, that was a good fight. That was probably the best fight of the night. I mean, if you don't, I guess the main event was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but I think that was fight of the night. It just it stood out more. So that was probably the best fight of the night. If you don't count the prelims, which the flyweight bout, which was still really good. And then obviously co-main event, Chris Cyborg wins. Wants to fight Amanda Nunes again. Seems like she's avoiding the question when they ask her, but obviously she wants that fight back. I just think Amanda Nunes is too good right now. I don't see her losing anytime soon. So I think Amanda Nunes takes it in the rematch. Amanda Nunes is obviously the GOAT, so she's on a whole nother level right now. But I would like to see them actually have a war, you know what I mean? Because I know Cyborg can hang in there longer than a minute. Come on now. But yeah, so domination for Cyborg, like I said, and on to the main event. So if you guys know me, if you've been following me on this channel forever, I've done my thoughts and review for UFC events. I used to do them more consistently than I do now as a kid. And my first one ever was actually, I think, UFC 144, and that was Edgar versus Benson Henderson. So I think it's cool to like kind of reflect back. Like I was 12 years old talking about Frankie Edgar fighting for a title in lightweight, and then now I'm talking about him, 37 at the end of his career almost, fighting for a featherweight belt. So I think it's cool, like how I've stuck with him this whole time. Always loved Frankie Edgar. Always been one of my favorite fighters, like I said. And I really didn't want. I love them both. So I mean, it was going to be sad if either one of them lost, but I had to go with Frankie. Let's start with the fight. So Frankie goes in first round. He looked really good. I thought he won the first round. It was close, but I always thought he was getting the better of Max Holloway in that round. Max Holloway kind of starts off slow in his fights, but Frankie Edgar was able to mix up. His movement was really good, and that was the main thing in this fight. His movement. Was he going to be able to handle Max Holloway's forward pressure? But at first, Frankie was pushing the pressure. He was hitting, moving back out, hitting, moving back out. I was like, this is what you need to do. This is how you're going to win the fight. Because you can't stay stationary with Max Holloway. He's going to pick you apart like he did with Ortega. So, obviously, this fight should have happened 2 times before. And I really do think it could have been a better fight if it happened the first time. Because that was before Frankie got knocked out by Ortega. And I don't know. I just think it could have been a better fight, if they had done it 2 years. But you know what? We can't always get what we want. Things happen, and Ortega got his shot. So, but if you guys know, MMA math doesn't work. And I think it's kind of crazy how a lot of people were counting out Frankie in this fight, saying he was going to get knocked out in the first round. Ortega put him out in 1 round. Holloway would do the same. It's all about matchups. And Frankie Edgar believed that he matched up against Holloway better than anybody. And quite honestly, I think he did. Did he win the fight? No, he did not. I mean, Holloway was clearly won the fight. I'm not arguing with that. Holloway clearly got the better of him. I would say it was 3-2. You could arguably 3-2. A lot of people probably saying clear 4-1, but it definitely wasn't no 5-0. There was no 5-0. I would say, like I said, Frankie won the first round. Second round, Max dominated that round. Tagged him at the end. And then Frankie Edgar was winning the third round, pretty much the whole round, and then he got tagged, and then he landed a takedown. So you could argue that third round, a lot of people gave it to Max, but I'd still slightly give it to Frankie, so I had it 2-1 going into the fourth. And then Max won the fourth, and then Max won the fifth. So, I mean, 3-2, 4-1. Point is, Max Holloway got the better of Frankie Edgar. But you gotta give props to Frankie for hanging in there. I was gonna say if Frankie was gonna lose this fight, I was gonna say Max was gonna win by decision. I didn't see him knocking him out. But I think a lot of people underestimated Frankie this fight, saying that he was gonna get knocked out. Frankie Edgar doesn't just get knocked out like that. The Ortega fight, you have to admit, he was winning that fight up until he got caught with that uppercut. So, I mean, not taking anything away from Ortega, but I'm just saying, like, y'all can't say MMA math doesn't work. So just because Ortega got Edgar out of there in one round doesn't mean Holloway can do this. And Holloway, obviously destroyed Ortega. That was a masterful performance. So you can't say that he's going to do the same to Edgar. Everyone matches up differently, and honestly, Edgar matched up with Holloway better than anyone that I've ever seen. So obviously Max is just too good, and I think he showed it tonight. He's a featherweight GOAT. Congrats to him. Love both fighters, like I said. Sad that Frankie couldn't get it done, but hey, man, it is what it is. So I thought either way he should retire tonight, but he said he's not done, so maybe he could possibly move down to 135 because I really don't know what's next for him at 145. Alexander Volkanovski is obviously the next guy in line for Holloway. Interested to see that fight. So that's definitely the next fight to make. Holloway is a massive 145 pounder. Like, Frankie is just small. I do not know how Frankie fought at 155. I don't know how he did it. Let alone won a title there. So that's insane. And Holloway made him look small tonight, but the reach advantage was only like one off. But yeah, like I said, Holloway won, unanimous decision. Overall, I had it 3-2 Holloway, but I could be a little biased, as you can say. Either way, it was no 5-0. 4-1 Max is probably the clearer one. So yeah, I think Holloway and Volkanovski is definitely the next. I would like to see Frankie at 135 if he's not going to retire. Just go down to 135. Try to win another belt. I mean, I guess if you can, because I think 145 time might be done for him. But yeah, man, overall, not a bad fight. I thought Frankie brought it to him, hit him with some big shots, but overall, Max is just too good, and that's just the bottom line. But like I said, he made Frankie look small, man. Like, the height, like, it just looked like there were two different weight classes. But even though he was way taller than him, I think he's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he's like 4 or 5 inches taller than him. He was still only had like a 1-inch reach advantage. So Frankie did a really good job in moving and not letting him get eaten up by the jab. He did get eaten up at the end of the fight, but like the beginning, that's what I was kind of worried about. I was thinking, if Max was Max was going to get him out of there like people said he was going to, then obviously that could be the argument. But overall, not bad. I'm excited I got to watch it. It sucks, man. If Frankie would have won tonight, I would have went crazy. But congrats to Holloway. Want to see him and Volkanovski for sure. That's the clear fight to make. And Frankie go down to 135. So next pay-per-view, or actually before we have Covington and Lawler, I'm interested to see how the welterweight division. The welterweight is probably my favorite division right now going on. Obviously, the lightweight is stacked. You have Khabib and Poirier coming up in September. But also, and then you have Ferguson, who literally, I don't know how he hasn't got a title shot yet. But that division is exciting, but Khabib and Ferguson at the end of the day is cursed. So, I'm pulling for Poirier, but I know Khabib's probably going to win. And the welterweight division is just literally, I think, is the most exciting and it's the most entertaining for me because Kamaru Usman is, it's so hard for me to see him lose right now because he's just fighting so good. And then Covington, he was the clear interim champion, but he's been talking so much, and he hasn't got a fight done, so now he's got to fight Robbie Lawler. And I hope if Lawler wins, that literally like screws up the whole division. And then you have Jorge Masvidal coming off 2 brutal knockout wins. So the welterweight division is exciting, and then Leon Edwards, can't forget about him. Leon Edwards just dominated RDA, so the welterweight division is exciting. I'm excited to see how they do it. There's some good fights coming up at the end of the year. We have Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis next month on UFC 241, and then Stipe and DC2. So that'll be a good fight card. I'm excited for that one. What else? We have Israel and Whitaker for the belt. I'm excited for that one. So we got some good fights coming up at the end of the year. And then I'm interested to see what they do for the Madison Square Garden. Y'all let me know if y'all know anything about the Madison Square Garden card. I can't come with the top of my head. Whitaker and Israel could be on that card, but they could be another one. I'm not very sure. Actually, I think they're fighting in October, actually. So maybe they don't have a fight for November yet. So we'll see. Maybe John Jones can go in there with like Corey Anderson or something. But point is, they can make a big card. and we'll see what happens. So maybe Holloway will fight one more time. Anyways, I'm rambling on. I'm thinking of all different types of things. Y'all let me know what y'all thought of this event. Overall, the card was great third fight, great main event. I guess the card wasn't terrible, but just one of the weaker ones compared to last month's or last pay-per-view. Not last month. It was only like a couple weeks ago. 239 was the best card of the year in my opinion so far. So we'll see how that Madison Square Garden card comes up in the next few months. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. More videos coming soon, and yeah, Spider-Man videos coming soon because I'm gonna start playing Spider-Man. I gotta start playing Spider-Man again so you guys can watch me play Spider-Man. Spider-Man's been awesome. I love it. So I'm excited to be playing that game too. For the last few weeks of summer that I have back in Texas. All right, guys. I'm rambling on. Have a good night. See ya.